Hello, everyone. My name is Luke Holden, sitting alongside my dad, Ben Holden. It's been a few weeks since I've actually done an intro to the No Holden Back Podcast. But welcome back, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for, sticking with us for our little hiatus that we took there for a few weeks. But he was down in Florida, and I was up here enjoying the very interesting Michigan weather, as always.
I was safe, by the way, so
yes.
I know people are gonna, say, "Oh, Florida's spiking" and all that, and we were safe and didn't do anything crazy or go to bars. I mean, I haven't had a drink in 9+ years, so I don't have to worry about going into bars. So it was a good time and good to be back. And last week we kind of got our bearings, and we talked a little bit the last few days, like, hey man, we gotta get back in the studio and do a show here. So it's good to be next to you, buddy.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to being here and talking about some of the topics we got today. Mostly sports related, obviously. That's kind of the path we want to stay on. But and that's what we've kind of brought since we started this thing, really.
Mm-hmm.
First thing I want to talk about tonight on NBC Sports Network.
It's a show.
Monster Energy Supercross, round 16. The last round will be on Sunday this weekend.
All right.
Eli Tomac, for the first time in his career, can clinch the 450 Supercross title tonight if he wins. If he wins tonight, he also passes Ryan Dungey, I believe, for 7th on the all-time wins list in Supercross.
Who's first, McGrath or Carmichael?
McGrath is first.
McGrath is.
I believe Carmichael is third, actually.
Is he really? Who's second? Chad Reed?
Or
is it an old school guy?
I don't
Bob
know.
Hurricane Hanna.
I think it might be Bob Hanna.
Really?
I think it might be.
Oh, I love watching him, man.
But looking forward to that tonight. The races in Salt Lake have been pretty impressive. I've been really happy with the racing there for sure. And the biggest difference, I touched on it just a second ago. Tomac is, if he wins tonight or Sunday, he passes Ryan Dungey, who's won 4 Supercross titles. Eli Tomac has not won a single 450 Supercross title in his career to this point.
Wow. How many years has he been at it now?
I believe Tomac has been in the 450 class since 2015.
All right, so 5 years then.
Yeah,
All
so but he's getting up there. I believe he's around 28, 29 now.
Right.
Just had a kid in March. So that kind of worked out for him because if they would have kept racing, if the pandemic wouldn't have happened, he actually would have missed his first born daughter's birth. I believe they would have been in Indianapolis that weekend. But yeah, the racing's been really good. Cooper Webb, Ken Roczen, both guys that are second and third in the points. Still kind of within a little bit of touch, but it's kind of starting to get to that point to where, again, Tomac wins tonight. It's all done. It's over.
Does
Tomac
he do
gets
it?
to hoist that title. I think he does. I think everyone knows who watches Supercross. Eli Tomac is one of the fastest and probably the best guy in the 450 class right now. He's definitely faster than the entire field. He's very comparable to James Stewart. He's gonna do anything for a win.
Yeah.
Ralph Shaheen, Ricky Carmichael, they've talked about throughout the broadcast past couple weeks. Maybe he doesn't push for a win or slows up or kind of plays it smart, just goes for points. Well, that's not Eli Tomac. He's like James Stewart, where he's going to beat everybody straight up, and he's going to win no matter what. So as I saw a couple minutes ago before we started recording, Tomac was the fastest in free practice 1. Obviously, practice is not a huge thing compared to qualifying, but you can already tell he's going to be on a tear tonight. So That's been fun to watch. Him and Cooper Webb have really been going at it. Webb's been pretty impressive. I've been impressed with Cooper for most of this. Obviously, he's a defending champion. So he wants to try to hold on to that number 1 plate, but I don't think it's going to happen. And Ken Roczen has been probably the biggest story from Supercross so far in Salt Lake.
He's had a lot of injuries. Weren't you telling me? Did he break both his arms?
He's broken both of his arms.
Yeah.
When he broke his first, I believe his left was the first arm he broke in San Diego in 2017. It was San Diego. He had to get 12 surgeries done.
Wow.
Almost had to get it amputated. So he's lucky to even be out here right now.
No kidding.
He's had tons of other viruses that have attacked his body as well. He just got diagnosed with shingles actually last week.
Boy.
So he announced that on Friday that he has the shingles virus. And he's just had a lot of stuff that's really kind of hindered him. He's had asthma attacking him here at Salt Lake. He has had a lot of trouble breathing. He got a win on Sunday night, which was pretty awesome to see. Finally beat Cooper Webb, got around him. They've been kind of battling out 1 and 2 the past couple weeks in the 450 main event. So finally got over that hump and not being able to stay in front of Cooper. Beat him by about, I believe, 2.5 seconds. Tomac got a pretty interesting start. Cooper Webb kind of came into his front wheel and almost took him out in the first corner. I believe they did say that it was just a, it was a racing move, but I don't really think so.
You don't think it was intentional, do you?
I personally do.
You do?
Well, when you're in a championship fight like that, you kind of have to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And for anyone that watched Supercross, you know that takeouts are kind of a part of the sport a little bit. Rubbing is racing, as everyone knows. So, I think back to 2017 when Zach Osborne absolutely just obliterated Joey Savatgy in the final corner in Las Vegas.
Really?
That was one hell of a takeout for sure by Zach Osborne. He's been a great addition in Salt Lake as well. I think he's finally getting used to the 450. He's finally had a good run, not dealing with too many injuries as of right now. So he's looking really good on that 450. And a lot of guys are just looking good. Malcolm Stewart, James Stewart's brother, got his first ever 450 heat win a couple of weeks ago.
Is Bubba involved? Is he involved in any kind of ownership in Supercross?
I don't believe he is as of now.
Okay.
I know Ryan Dungey is actually helping out with the Geico Honda team since he retired, because his brother is actually the race mechanic for Chase Sexton, who's currently trying to defend the East Supercross title in the 250s.
All right.
But no, as of right now, he's not.
When you first got into the whole sport of motocross was back when I was working in Lansing. So obviously you're born in 01, so it was like 03, 04, 05, I want to say.
Yeah.
You had all those video games, and
I still play him as well.
He still plays them, but
So,
at that time, Bubba Stewart, he was nobody could touch that guy.
Right. Yeah,
so, he was quite the rider.
Yeah, he's always been one of the fastest guys out there.
Yeah.
He was able to beat Ricky Carmichael and Chad Reed straight up a lot of years.
Yeah. They were the guys then.
Yeah,
they were the guys up top.
Yep. Obviously Chad Reed and James Stewart are both two-time Supercross champions. So I think for me, kind of going back to Tomac, this is his opportunity to win his first 450 Supercross title. He's done it in the 250s, but it's not the same as doing it in the Premier class. A lot of people have said, because I believe his contract ends in 2021 with Kawasaki. And I think he wins the 4 straight in outdoors this year personally.
All right.
Because he just, they kind of touched on it in the broadcast. Carmichael did, he's like, first year that Eli won in 2017, he was like, I don't know if I really want the red plate, but I'll take it. Second year he won, he's like, I kind of want the red plate. Third straight year that he won, last year, he's like, this is my red plate, it's nobody else's. So I think he's kind of gotten that mentality in Supercross finally. Some of the mistakes that he would make in the past, you thought he was going to make in Salt Lake. I think back to the race a couple Wednesdays ago where he went from 15th to 3rd, which is not easy to do. That's a Ricky Carmichael type of rider.
It is. There. Yeah, you're right.
Normally for Eli it would be, get a bad start in 15th and only get up to about 10th, and lose a ton of points, possibly lose a points lead. So he's looked really good, and I'm pretty confident that he takes it home tonight.
Cool.
So as for the 250s, I think the East and the West are both going to be interesting. I think Dylan Ferrandis is honestly going to win his second East or West title, my bad. French rider, and he's had a pretty controversial year with taking some guys out here and there.
Robbins racing.
Yep. But Dylan Ferrandis, he hasn't looked great in Salt Lake, I will say. He's looked pretty rough around the edges.
If I may, so they've done all the races have been at the same venue,
yes,
right? In Salt Lake at Rice Eccles.
Yep, Rice Eccles Stadium, right. University of Utah's football stadium.
No fans, obviously.
No fans, yep. So they've been doing all those races there.
Okay.
The track layout has been different for every Sunday and Wednesday.
And I remember when we did probably a month or 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
When I think we last got into, one of your many passions in sports, this sport.
Yep.
That was something you were wondering about. So
yeah.
they have flipped it, moved it, and placed things differently every time. Right?
Yeah, every layout has been different,
okay.
Which has been really cool to see because there's been some pretty good layouts, I would say. Not super one-line racing or anything like that. So it's been good. Lots of areas to pass guys. Last Sunday was pretty interesting because there were a lot of flat corners, which you don't see very often in Supercross. It's mostly bowl corners and things like that. So those were kind of fun to watch the guys kind of, swing the rear tire around there and get going on those types of corners. But they have changed the track every weekend or every week, I should say. Yeah. I mean, I'm so used to saying weekend just because I'm used to watching Saturday night Supercross.
Yep, I get it.
It's been pretty cool to have it pretty consistently, almost every 2-3 days really. So
it's good. NASCAR's they've taken a similar approach to that, Wednesdays, Thursdays, on the weekends too. So
racing is back. Moto GP is coming back in July as well. They'll be starting July 17th in Jerez in Spain. I believe 3 of the rounds they'll be running will be double rounds. Right. So the first 2 rounds will be at Jerez, back-to-back weekends. I'm pretty sure Spielberg in Austria will be ran as a double race, so they'll be going back-to-back weekends at the same circuit.
All right.
I want to say Le Mans in France is also a double race.
Okay.
So looking forward to seeing those guys back. Still have about 4 rounds that are not determined yet. Austin, Texas, which they go to, the Circuit of Americas, have not announced that yet. Termasto Rio Hondo in Argentina has not been announced yet. I believe there's a couple others I can't think of.
Do they go to Laguna still? And I'm bringing that up. I'll let you answer, and then I'll explain why I asked that.
So they haven't gone to Laguna Seca since 2013.
All right.
They decided to go to Austin, which F1 also goes to the Circuit of Americas in Austin as well.
All
right. They've been going there. They used to actually go to Indianapolis as well, the Brickyard.
Really? That would be sweet. That would be cool to see a dirt bike race, supercross race there.
Right.
I think that'd be, or motocross, I should
motorcycle
say.
race.
In that way,
yes.
Yeah.
So
any of them would be cool.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they used to go to the Brickyard. I believe 2015 was the last year that they did that.
All right. So, but the reason I brought that up because it was a year ago this week.
Yes.
You remember where we were, right?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
His face light up.
Yeah.
So that was an awesome trip, man.
It was. Yes.
That was an incredible trip. I had an arm wrestling show in LA at Novo.
Yep.
I want to bring that up too, but we got a lot of things we're going to get into.
Right.
But so I had a show in LA. Luke had just graduated, a week or 10 days prior to that, I want to say. It was
I think
7th or 8th, I think, when you graduated high school last year.
Yep.
So we do that. We had a convertible Mustang.
Yeah.
And we drove it from LA. We drove up. I took you up to Malibu. We went down to the beach. We should have got the water.
Yeah.
But we were going to be in the car all day, so we really didn't want to get all wet. But anyway, and then one of the coolest, there were many cool parts of this trip.
There were a lot of them.
But one of the neatest parts of the trip, like you might have saw my son's face light up a minute ago when I brought that up, like now.
Yep.
So we didn't have any itinerary. We had no plans. We had somewhat of a plan, but very loose.
Yes.
Not like when I'm traveling for work, when it's like you're on this flight, you're staying in this hotel.
Yep.
You get it. So we just kind of flew by the seat of our pants. And we get off at this exit. I go, how about here, man? He's like, yeah, it looks fine. There was a nice, I think it was a Holiday Inn. We had a really nice room. It was an updated one. It wasn't, an old one. It was very nice.
Yep.
And turned out, what were we, 2-3 miles from Laguna Seca?
Yes, we were. Yeah. Yep.
And we were probably 5 miles from Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
And we didn't go there because I don't want to go to Pebble Beach until one day I hope I get a chance to play the golf course. Because I didn't want to be taunted by just seeing the golf course. But to bring the point home, we were out on the track.
Yeah.
That track is unbelievable, man. That was cool. And I had such a cool time watching you and you're doing videos out there and you're taking me around and telling me about Nikki Hayden and all that. And, a great rider that passed away a few years ago.
Yep.
And, we drove a little bit, didn't we? Did we get on the track a little bit or not? Or we just walk on the track?
I think we just walked on it. Yeah. I don't think we got on it at all. But
I mean, the floodgates were open, man. We drove right into the pits.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty neat. And they have camping in there, and there was a lot of people camping. And, just to put a bow on that trip, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
But what we did in San Francisco, it was next to last night we were there. It was Saturday.
Yep.
We rented those electric scooters. Right? See?
Yep.
I felt like a 12-year-old kid again.
Yeah.
I had mopeds, growing up in Lansing. Me, John Lamke, Frank Wizzawani, we all had mopeds.
Yep.
But these things were electric scooters. And I remember the picture I took of you. I got Alcatraz right behind you.
Yeah.
And I think it was around that point, Luke, where you said to me, hey, Dad, we're not supposed to be on the sidewalk. We're supposed to be elsewhere. And I go, where's elsewhere? And he goes, on the road.
Yeah.
So we end up riding through Fisherman's Way. It was an awesome trip, man. I had so much fun on that trip with you, man. I just wanted to share that everybody out there watching and listening. Man.
Yeah.
It was a great time.
That was definitely a lot of fun. I had a ton of fun getting to see Laguna Seca.
That was so cool watching you take that in.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that obviously there's been tons of extremely famous races there.
Oh.
2005, Nicky Hayden got his first win at Laguna Seca. That was their first year back, Moto GP, the first time they'd gone back to Laguna Seca.
Back there, man. That is an iconic track, man.
2008, Valentino Rossi in the corkscrew, passes Casey Stoner on the gravel for the win.
Remember you telling me that, too?
2013, Marc Marquez did the same move on Valentino Rossi, his rookie year in the class when he had won.
Kid's an encyclopedia,
you know, a lot of really great races at Laguna Seca, a lot of really awesome memories, just like so many other MotoGP tracks. You know, one that comes to mind for me is Mugello in Italy, in the Florence area, right in the hills. It's one of my favorite circuits in MotoGP. It's a beautiful track. It's very technical. I believe the longest straight, which is a starting straight as well, is over. I believe it's almost over 2.5 miles long.
The straightaway is?
Yeah, so you're getting a lot of speed going down that.
That's pretty unique.
You know, and unfortunately last week they ended up canceling Mugello for they've been going there for 30 straight years until this year. So they won't be at Mugello, which that's Valentino Rossi's home round.
I was wondering that. Well, as we know, a lot of things
that
have been with us for many years in sports have come to an end, and understandably we get it. Right. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, so I believe they will still be able to go to Misano, which is more closer to where Valentino Rossi is from, Tivoli in Italy.
All right.
And he always has a special helmet that he wears in Misano every year. I believe last year was a picnic-themed helmet.
Okay.
So his thing that he does is it's a sun and moon. I know a lot of people were kind of know the meaning of sun and moon. So that's been his thing pretty much most of his career, really, since he got into the 500 cc class before they moved to the 4-stroke bikes. But so I believe the sun was like sandwiches, like, you know, club sandwiches, and then the moon was a watermelon design, and there was, you know, picnic layouts and stuff like that on his helmet all over the place. So be interested to see what he comes up with Misano for this year. But MotoGP is back. Supercross is almost coming to a close. Then we go outdoors for the for motocross, which I'm looking forward to.
And that's on. They're doing that. They've announced that.
Yes. Yep. So they'll be starting in Ironman in Indianapolis.
Nice.
I believe I want to say July 11th.
Still doing Red Bud? Michigan over by Niles.
I think they're going to Red Bud. I don't know when.
How many times did we go there? We went there a couple, didn't we?
Twice.
Nick, our buddy Nick Way, who I started covering. I want to say it was the first summer I worked in Lansing in '98.
Yeah.
And Nick, if you're by chance watching this, hit me back on Twitter or Facebook, man. We'd love to get you on for a show, my friend.
Definitely.
That's kind of how, you know, you got your, you know, that I think that was clearly where you got your love and your passion for the sport.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 3 years old and he's on a motocross bike, supercross. Am I using the verbiage right?
Motocross, yeah.
He's on a professional dirt bike.
Yeah,
you know, he's got a rider there. Hey, sit on my bike. I mean, hang on. You keep talking. I'm going to go grab something because we're on the subject.
Yeah, so just to kind of have, I guess, the motorcycle nerd moment a little bit.
Go for it.
What year was that? 2006?
Well, you saw Nick?
Yeah.
No, I think it was like 04, 05.
Okay, yeah. So it was a 2004 RMZ Suzuki 450. Or it might have been, it was a 450 by then, I think. It might have been a 2-stroke.
Well,
I'll
you're going to tell us
in
a minute.
Yeah, I'll have to look at it.
So my son's room has been turned into my workout room and kind of a storage room.
Yep.
Because he's going to be a sophomore in college in the fall. So I'm going to show Luke that first.
Yeah, that's a 2-stroke.
I mean, look at that kid.
Yeah.
Look at that kid.
Yeah.
So here you go.
Right
so there's a picture. That's Nick, and obviously my little man on there. I don't think you were more than 3 or 4 years old, dude.
Yeah, I was pretty young, I think.
You were really young. I remember those Nikes you had. Man, I need to dust this thing. Anyways, how cool is that, though, man?
Yeah, for sure.
Put that right up there. There you go.
But yeah, no, I mean, you know, racing is back. NASCAR's back. I believe F1 is going to get started soon as well.
Right.
IndyCar is back as well for those who watch IndyCar. Not sure about World Superbike or British Superbike or Moto America yet, but I believe they're getting ready to try to come back.
So racing's doing well, is what you're saying.
Yes, racing is doing really well. So
and I know we're going to hit on all the majors as we go here.
Definitely.
We're going to talk some golf too, and like I said, I want to talk a little arm wrestling because there's some news involving that with the WAL. We're not going to do that now, but
We might as well get into it.
Well,
we're on the subject. So.
Well, I kind of doubled my point there. So I'm going to backtrack to the first point. So even though you're hosting, but it's okay if I kind of steer us a little way.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I like when he drives. I like playing co-host with my son. So you're talking about all these great things with racing, and, and speaking of the 4 majors, I'll start there.
Yeah.
So then you go to baseball.
Yes.
Then you go to baseball.
Yeah.
Why do you think it is that all the racing stuff, before we get into this a little bit more, why do you think the racing stuff has been able to bounce back as well as they have? Is it simply because they're not man on man, or the WNBA woman on woman, or is it because there's social distancing? Is it more of that? What do you think it is?
I mean, I think it's a little bit part of it.
Okay.
But I think too, it's just, you talk to any guy that's raced professionally, or girl for that matter that's raced professionally, they love it so much. They're so passionate about it. Like, I watched an interview with Valentino Rossi a couple of weeks ago. They did with Sky Sports in Britain. And he said, he's like, when I retire, I mean, he's 40, 41. He's pretty up there in age.
He's my age then.
It's really crazy to think about. His debut year was in 2000. He's been racing for 20 years. 20.
And he's probably been on a bike since he was.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably been on a bike since like that kid was.
Yep. So, I mean, his dad was a famous motorcycle racer.
I remember you telling me that, yeah.
So it's in his blood. It's in his background. He's like, when I retire, it's going to be a sad day for me. I'm not really going to know what to do, and I kind of don't want to do it. And he said for him in 2021, he's going to sign with Petronas Yamaha, which is the satellite team. He's still going to have factory support, so I think he's going to get some wins here, which I think everyone's looking forward to. But, he said, he's like, I don't want next year to be a farewell year, because it's not a farewell year yet. I'm not retiring right away.
He hasn't announced it yet.
Exactly.
Right.
So I think that's kind of been what's driven all these different racing championships to kind of come back. But I do think it is part, I mean, you think about it, Supercross, motocross, you were in full gear, helmet, goggles.
Yeah.
The mechanics are wearing they're wearing face masks.
Yep.
They kind of, the first Salt Lake round, they kind of spread the mechanics out, which I think none of those guys like. So they kind of let them come a little bit closer, which I'm happy about, because the guys need to see their pit boards.
Well, and if they're being tested and they're wearing masks, or they're wearing protective shields. Remember one of the first pods we did was with Glenn Giovannucci, former Northeastern hockey player. His company was making those. So I get that. So go ahead. And then Moto GP, World Superbike, all those, all the motorcycle, circuit racing, things like that. Right.
They're wearing full leathers, helmets, visors, obviously.
Yeah.
They don't really have to worry about, they're covered basically from head to toe.
Right. All right.
So and obviously NASCAR, F1, they're in cars.
Right. so that's part of why, that's kind of how I felt. Like that's a big reason why those sports have come back. But then we'll get back to baseball, and we're going to hit on football, and we're going to hit on hockey, and basketball, and golf, and all that stuff, or arm wrestling too. So like in golf, they've had 2 straight weeks.
Yep.
They played last week. It was obviously strange. It's going to be strange with every sport we watch, probably for at least the rest of this year.
Yes.
I'm no research scientist, but I don't see any fans in any stadiums in any sort, at least until 2021.
Yeah.
Golf's had 2 straight weeks, no positive tests.
Yep.
I did see Ian Poulter. Somebody videoed for him on his Twitter or Instagram, him getting the nose swab.
Yes.
I'm going to say this. It was painful to watch.
Yep.
One of my biggest fears in my life are needles.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have my blood drawn.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the rate is for turning around that swab test in the nose compared to blood. I don't know, but
they're both very quick.
I would prefer blood if I was given the choice. But so they've done it, and last week, the caddies aren't touching clubs. They're letting the players do that.
Yeah.
There's no fans. There's going to be fans, I believe, and somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure, which is fine. But I believe it's Jack Nicklaus's tournament, the Memorial. It's going to be the first one that's going to have. They're going to allow fans in some capacity.
Yeah.
To watch golf. I'm a huge golf guy. I love the game. It's my favorite sport to play when I'm looking to get away and do something. And, played last week. I'll play this week at least once. And, it's good to see that back. And then, as I mentioned, you go to baseball.
Yeah.
And baseball, to me, they had every single opportunity to seize it, to seize the stage, to have baseball, apple pie, hot dogs, people having a beer, whatever it is, watching the game. And it's the adage of billionaires against millionaires.
Yeah.
And they're battling over money. And it made me think of that I was thinking of it anyway, because I know we talked about it in a little pre-show meeting. We were going to talk about it when you were talking about Rossi.
Yeah.
And how, it's his passion, it's his love. And, it's sad. And I know today we're taping this right now. It's 4:30 on Wednesday.
Yep.
Last time, I saw a TV or was on social media was about a half hour ago. They are meeting. They're trying to get it resolved. But if they don't get this resolved, I mean, shame on everybody that's involved in the sport. I mean, the players would argue that because the players have been saying for the last week or so, tell us when, tell us where.
Yeah.
The players want to play.
Right.
And for the sport, I hope they do. And for America, because people are missing sports.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't called a game since the 28th of February.
Yeah.
That's what I've done for the last 16 years of my career.
Right.
Is call games. And I'd give a finger right now to call a game, man. Chop it off. Let me call a game.
Right.
But right now it's just not in the cards, and we got to wait and see how it goes. But, baseball's got to get it figured out, man.
Yeah, and I think for baseball, they're kind of ruining it for themselves at this point. I don't mean to bring up statistics, and maybe this is just a lacrosse player in me, but
or the stat nerd.
Baseball is a dying sport at the moment.
It's interesting. I'm really,
there's a lot of things that are up and coming. Premier Lacrosse League.
I know we're gonna get to that too. And we should.
And they're not doing enough to advance the sport, in my opinion. I mean, they've talked. How many years have they talked about putting in a pitch clock? Like 3-4 years now, and they still haven't done it.
All right. So you played baseball for what, 2 or 3 years when you were 6, 7, 5, 6, 7 in that span, right?
Yeah, probably 3 or 4. I want to say.
Well, your mom was a very good softball player.
Yeah.
And, she obviously influenced you that. Yeah. But the bottom line is, I don't think the society we live in now is now. And baseball's not that way. I mean, it's just there's a long list of things I think that you could talk about what they need to change. I think the clock is one of them.
Yeah.
It's just I watched one single Tigers game last year.
Yep.
That was opening day.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, and I watched the playoffs just because it's the playoffs.
Right. Exactly.
I love any sport, any whatever, racing, golf, whatever it is. I want to. You're playing for a championship.
Yeah. 100%.
Like you said earlier about tonight with your guy Tomac trying to win it.
Yep.
You just don't see any of that in the sport. And, your kids your age. So you're 19.
Yep.
Graduated high school last year, going into your sophomore year of college.
Yeah.
How many of in your circle of friends, Luke, would you say have any care about the sport of baseball at all?
Probably not many.
Out of 10, what would you say?
1 or 2, maybe. Right. Most of us are, it's basketball, hockey, football, obviously,
lacrosse, your teammates and the guys
that's what we're interested in. We're not really, baseball for me. Look, I love going to the ballpark and watching a game.
I like that too.
That's a good time. I mean, when I was at Adrian College in the fall, we went on a couple-day trip to Chicago.
Yeah.
We went to a White Sox game. That was a lot of fun.
Right.
It was I believe it was police and fire night that night, which was kind of cool. So we got a free T-shirt for that. But
free stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder where he gets that from.
But we got to go to a game. It's fun to sit in the stands, get a hot dog, get some Cracker Jack or
hear the organ playing, the fans getting into it. Like, let's go.
It was a fun time. Yeah. We got to see a couple home run balls hit. And I think it's cool at the White Sox park with the kind of candy looking things on the top that spin whenever somebody hits a home run.
Yeah. I remember.
We've always kind of gone to Tigers games almost every summer when we can. Which has been a lot of fun. But I don't really have the patience to sit down for 3-4 hours and watch a baseball game on TV.
or the interest level.
Right. That's just me. You know,
that's me too. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I watched the Long Gone Summer documentary. Did you watch any of that over the weekend on Sunday?
No, I don't think I did. No.
McGuire and Sosa was 3 years before you were born, but
yeah.
It took me back. That was my first year anchoring sports in Lansing.
Yeah.
And every single night, man, it was like, you hit one, Sammy just hit one. Oh, we got to cut a new tape.
Yeah.
I mean, we're cutting tape, if they're playing on the West Coast and McGuire hit one out in San Diego at 11:07, we were rolling on the game.
Right.
We wanted it on. I mean, it captured everybody.
Yep. And
to me, if the sport doesn't find a way to agree this time around, I mean, 94, again, 7 years before you were born.
Yep.
The strike, it ended. There was no World Series. It was a travesty. 98 came back, and steroids and all that came to the fruition later in time.
Yep.
And, this and that. But, I mean, I got to be honest. Watching that documentary, I'm with Mark McGuire.
Yeah.
It wasn't banned what he was doing.
Yeah.
It wasn't banned at the time. There wasn't testing at the time. So, Chris Draper, former Red Wing, part of the grind line, he said something years ago, and anyone that's a hockey fan, especially a Red Wing fan, will know what I'm going to say here.
Yep.
You're not cheating, you're not trying.
Yeah.
And he was referring to taking face-offs.
Right.
From you're a wing guy in lacrosse. You might have an inch more lean to get down on your pole or whatever it is, or dig your left foot in a little bit more, or you're on your toes. I mean, whatever you got to do, you're trying to get that edge. So
exactly.
If baseball doesn't find a way to come through and do something this year, I think the sport is in serious jeopardy. Really do.
I agree. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. For me, I would say don't worry about the money, just play. If you love it that much, then just go out and play.
100%.
You're going to make your money anyways.
Right.
Right.
They're all millionaires.
Exactly.
I mean, the average salary is like $3 million a year.
Yeah. So I understand contracts work differently in the MLB compared to a lot of other sports. Some guys don't make as much money as you would maybe in the NBA or the NHL.
Right.
But you're going to make more money than most people will ever see in their entire
lifetime.
So
in your athlete window, you're going to make that money.
Right. And you're playing a sport for a living. You're not going to an office job and sitting in a cubicle from 9 to 5.
Right.
You're playing a sport.
Right.
And sometimes, just to give a quick shout out to my coach, Ty McGuire, at Concordia of Ann Arbor.
Nothing wrong with that.
Go-karts. He said to us, he's like, think about it, guys. You're lucky to be able to do what you're doing right now.
Yep.
If you pull it back and look at the scope of everything, you out of so many people are getting an opportunity that most people will not ever get in their entire life.
He's right.
So,
he's right.
And at the professional level, it's even smaller.
Yeah.
So, for me, that's the way I've always kind of looked at it with sports, because you do what you love. And you don't play because, I can make money, or, I'll have tons of money to go buy a cool car, or, a huge house, whatever. It doesn't matter about that. Just play because you enjoy it.
Right.
If
I may.
Yeah.
So when things didn't work out at the first school you were at, Adrian, where you went to play and go to school.
Yep.
I'm saying this to the people watching. I'm saying it to you too, obviously. But I didn't know if you'd ever play again.
Right.
I was fearful that you had lost your love for it, as you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I want to say it was sometime in April. Maybe we've been doing this a week or two. This is the 48th show we've done.
Yeah.
And we haven't done one until the end of May. But I forget what day it was, but I remember the day you told me we got done and you said, Dad, I'm going to play again.
Yeah.
And there were many reasons I was happy for that.
Yep.
And one of the biggest reasons was because I know how much you love to play and you love to compete.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm really happy that you're doing that again, Luke.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to it.
Not to get all sappy.
We're excited to be back in the fall at Concordia, and let's bring a national championship home. So,
that's right. Go Cards. So we might as well go to the PLL. We got to, there's a thing in broadcasting. I've tried to teach him a few things over the years, and he's obviously listened very well. Whether it's shooting videos, hosting a show, whatever, he's listened very well. So segue us into the pro league, and what's anything going on there? What do we have newsworthy amongst the PLL right now?
So the Premier Lacrosse League, they're getting ready to start in July. They've had no issues. They officially announced, I believe last week, that they're going to be in Utah to play.
Saw that, yep.
So that's going to be pretty cool.
Holman and those guys will be right at home, whatever squad they're on.
Right. So, it's going to be a full quarantine league. There's going to be no fans. They're going to get tested as often as they can be.
Right.
So I don't think there's any worry about that. Everybody seems ready to go and ready to play. Which, I'm excited for as a lacrosse fan and as a lacrosse player.
I am too.
The PLL is a very fun, fast, exciting league.
Lightning fast.
And it's pretty good to watch. So, July 25th when the league starts, if everyone who's listening isn't doing anything, be sure to tune into NBCSN for the PLL championship battle there.
Right. What's it going to go? It's going to be like 3 weeks, right? We talked about it.
Yeah, I believe 19 days.
19 days. Yeah, it's almost 3 weeks.
Is the look for those guys.
That'd be good. I mean, they've, Paul Rabel and, his brother and everybody involved, they've done an awesome job, man.
Yep.
They really have. I tip my hat, for what they've done. And I hope that league can keep things on track.
Yeah, definitely.
Can keep it on track. And, the NBA is one that I'm not convinced about, Luke. I'm not convinced. I'm just not now. What is it? It's near 100 players have said, right?
I think so, yeah.
They're not sure if they want to play. So I want to bring this thing up. Remember, I took this picture earlier when we were watching.
First take, yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So here's some of the things that for the NBA players to return. They have until June 24th to inform their team whether they plan to participate.
Yep.
They will regularly be tested for COVID-19. A positive test result leads to isolating away from the team hotel for 2 weeks. They have to pass a cardiac test to return. If they leave the bubble, they have to quarantine for 4 to 10 days, depending on the reason for departure, voluntary or personal.
Yep.
And the teams are allowed up to 37 members of their personnel group down in Orlando. So where are you on it? Because like I just said, I'm not convinced that that's going to happen. I hope it does, but if you got that many guys that are thinking about not doing it now, and then they start hearing that stuff, is it going to result in those guys staying home, or what do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, I'm kind of disappointed in a lot of guys right now. I think everyone knows I'm a big NBA fan.
Yeah. Go Warriors.
Yeah. Well, you got to think about those guys. They like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. They're healthy
now, man.
They want to go play, but they can't.
They can't.
It's only 22 teams.
It's like hockey. They left 7 teams out.
Right. So, I'm just disappointed in the sense that I think some guys are a little too scared. Maybe I'm just being a, arrogant 19-year-old kid right now.
I don't think you are.
But
I think there's truth to that.
I think guys are just a little too scared to go. We've seen a lot of reports lately, not to get political, but, COVID is really not as bad as it really seemed at first from what I've seen. It doesn't stay on surfaces for as long as they thought. I've heard that asymptomatic people they rarely spread it.
That's good to know.
So I just think there's a little bit too much worry, and unfortunately there still is a lot of unknown about the virus.
There is, you're right.
I personally don't foresee a vaccine coming that soon. Some people think it will, but I don't need to name those people, but
fingers crossed. That's what I was trying to do there.
Besides the point, I think guys are just kind of a little too worried about it personally.
Yeah.
I think that they, it seemed like when this was first starting up that they were going to play again, everybody was like, yeah, let's do it. And now it's kind of turned into, John Wall said a couple of days ago on a podcast, he's like, I'm not going, but even if we were, like, I don't think I'd go because, I'm kind of, worried about it. And, it doesn't seem safe. To me, I guess I need a better definition of what the word safe means because I've heard a lot of that from a few guys around the NBA. It's not safe for them.
Well, let's be honest. It's not going to be, they're not staying in the Ritz-Carlton or the Four Seasons.
Yeah, of course. It's not ideal.
It's not ideal, but it's the times we're living in right now. And, like I said, man, I'd go back and do what I love to do today.
Yeah.
If I was given the opportunity, man, I'd be bam.
Yep.
What do I got to do? Do I got to fly, drive, tell me, train, whatever? I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm not making that kind of money, but it's still right here for me, man.
Right.
And that's what I'd love to do. And that's what I dreamed up growing grew up dreaming about doing with my life. And,
Yeah.
you know, I'm lucky to be able to do that. And I'll do it again one day.
Right.
So.
But yeah, I mean, I think some guys are just too scared. You know, some guys want to just do different things at the current time and place. You know, and I understand where, you know, some of these guys' arguments are from. I think the false reports that came out yesterday that Kyrie Irving said he wanted to start his own league.
He told me that when he came over today. I was like, what? I hadn't heard that.
Those are false. That did not happen.
That can't happen.
And I don't know why anyone would think that would be a good idea to do.
What's the point?
Yeah. I mean,
you already have a league.
Right.
I mean, what's the point? It's the best league in the world for basketball.
Well, it's like, you know, I mean, you take it back to like 50s and 60s when it was the ABA versus the NBA, you know.
Semi-pro, Jackie Moon.
Yeah.
I watched that the other night, by the way. Classic.
But, you know, I don't know. I think some guys are just in a lot of different places right now with what they want to do. Some guys are worried about the virus. Some guys want to take care of political issues, which I completely respect that and understand.
100%. I get it.
You know, I stand with those guys completely. But, you know, the other thing, you know, things aren't going to happen overnight. So, you know, I guess we kind of have to, you know, we'll see what happens. But I think personally for the guys that are just worried about the virus, those are the guys I'm mostly disappointed in because it's like, come on, man, just go play.
Right.
Like you're going to get tested.
You're going to be tested.
You're going to get tested. You're probably going to get your temperature taken every time you come in the stadium.
Absolutely. I mean,
you know,
so the next week here,
yeah,
as I read in some of the big, you know, headlines from that, they have to let their teams know by the 24th.
Yes.
So we got a week now and counting, and, you know, college football, I don't know how much time we have. I was told by someone I trust very much a few weeks ago that they felt the drop dead was going to be July 15th.
Yep.
For teams to decide whether or not. I've, as you know, Luke, I'm on a ton of different schools, you know, media lists for emails. And, you know, I got one from Greg Steiner, my buddy at Eastern Michigan the other day. You know, they've moved their game against Kentucky to a Thursday, the first week of September. There's been one game canceled so far. But college football to me is a big, big can of worms, man. Because you got 130 teams, 129, 130 FBS teams.
Yep.
That's not counting Division II and the others. What are those programs going to do?
Right.
But in the big bowl of things, I mean, Michigan hasn't even announced whether or not they're going to have classes in person or not yet.
Yeah.
And their president has said more than once, if there are no in-person classes, there will be no sports.
Yep.
Right?
No football. No
I mean, that is a hell of a statement.
Yeah.
If Michigan's not playing college football, man, I don't know. Michigan State, on the other hand, just keeping it local here to where we live in suburban Detroit.
Yep.
They announced back in like mid-May, I want to say, that they were going to bring back students, right?
Yeah.
Right on the time frame there, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, somewhere in there.
Yeah. For Michigan State, you know, it's an option. So
it is an option.
If you don't want to go, you don't have to.
Well, you guys are too, and you're a smaller school, like 12, 1,300 students.
Yeah, and we're literally 5 minutes down the road from Eastern.
5 minutes from Michigan.
10 minutes down the road from U of M.
Right.
You know, we're in a pretty contested area. Washtenaw is like literally not even a mile away.
Right. Give everybody the deal what it is for you guys at Concordia.
Yeah, so we're allowed to come back. I haven't done as much research as I should, but we are allowed to come back as far as I know. You know, I believe they're actually also opening up for students the ability to go and work out on campus for athletes, which is nice.
You guys will all be down there lifting and getting ready.
Yeah, well, we do have to make appointments so that they can make sure that, you know, they can straighten things out.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
But yeah, no, I mean, we're able to come back. We don't have to stay at home. You know, obviously it's going to be different for every campus and every university, I think, but
right. Of course.
You know, but yeah, football is definitely in question, and it's going to lose a lot of schools money if they don't play.
I've read a couple different spots. The numbers between $4 and $5 billion. If there's not a full college football season.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's astronomical what the sport brings in, and you know, I mean, I don't know. I get asked all the time doing what I do. You know, my neighbors. You know, buddies I talk to on the phone, whatever, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, I get asked a lot, and I don't have an answer. All I can tell you is what I said a couple minutes ago from someone I trust very much on the inside, and that might not be any kind of breaking news, but he told me that over a month ago.
Yeah.
So at the time I felt like, that's a pretty big nugget,
Yep.
but it makes sense.
Right.
I mean, if the season were to be played like it's scheduled to be played, games starting the last week of August, week 0, and then Labor Day weekend and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think logistically you can do it.
Right.
If decisions aren't made by the middle of July and in a little less than a month here.
Yeah. And unfortunately with things like this, we can't wait until the last minute to see what happens.
You can't, not with that sport.
Or how things transpire with the virus,
Mm-hmm.
or universities allowing or not allowing students on campus.
Yep.
Certain things you can wait on, but things like that are not things that you can take all the way down to the last minute and hope for the best. So, because like a lot of us, we don't know, not only do we not know what's going to happen with college football or the NFL or some of these other leagues around, the U.S. and the rest of the world. The MLS is facing potential lockout.
Yeah, I saw that.
Major League Soccer, for those that don't know, we don't know what's going to happen with that, but we don't know what's going to happen with this virus.
No, we don't.
There could be a breakthrough in a couple months, and we got a vaccine.
Yeah,
it might be another year. It might be 8 months. We don't know.
Right.
Or it could just possibly. I don't like to say the same
it's
things.
Not going to disappear.
Right. I don't like to necessarily say that, but but the more research they do, the more we'll find out about it, and the better ways we'll be able to deal with it without a vaccine or some kind of aid or cure toward it. So. We're just going to have to see what happens. And, I know the NBA has said they might not even through 2021 allow fans.
Saw that too.
Which could be interesting, but, that's just kind of unfortunately where we're at right now. And, you can point the finger at who you want, but there's definitely more than one person who's at fault for kind of letting things get out of hand in every single country, really.
Yeah. Well,
but, it is what it is, and we just kind of got to move on with it. But, college football is going to be interesting. The NFL, they've kind of been business as usual, really.
They have. Reports came out a couple of days ago that players from the Texans and the Cowboys had tested. I hope that, the players that have it, they recover well. They don't have any, after effects of it.
Yeah.
I have a close friend. I might have mentioned this earlier that had it, and I was told by her that it was like breathing glass.
Yeah.
It can attack your body that badly. So, hopefully those guys get over. I don't know what they'll do. Obviously, they're going to quarantine them. Beyond that, I don't know what they'll do.
Yeah.
They quarantine them. They test them. They bring them back. I don't know. But, yeah, the NFL has been full steam ahead. We're inside of 90 days with them.
Yeah.
And, but to me right now, the biggest question – number one, well, there's several questions. Major League Baseball, are they going to finally get an agreement?
Yep.
The NBA, and then college football.
Yeah.
Those three. And honestly, and many might think, oh, Ben's being a homer because he's going to say what I'm going to say here. But the one sport of the four majors, baseball, football, basketball, hockey, that I haven't heard any kind of issues, negativity, guys waffling, I might play, I might not. And I respect that.
Yeah.
But that sport is hockey.
Yeah.
The players seem to be incredibly committed to doing what they have to do.
Definitely.
We're still not home yet with that.
Yep.
There were 10 cities listed as hub cities.
Yep.
They haven't picked those yet. But players are cycling back in and coming back into their camps, and they're not into their camps, but into their cities.
Yep.
Have you heard anything contrary to what I'm saying about hockey or not?
No, I haven't really seen too much, negative, if you will, stuff about the NHL. They've been handling things pretty well as far as I can tell from the outside. And, I think, like you said, they have probably been one of the best leagues in terms of not a lot of drama going on.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these guys want to get back out and play. A lot of them live in Canada up north. So, I have some friends in Canada that, will tell me it's really not that bad up there. And they aren't really too worried about it. So maybe that could be part of it as to why things are kind of a little different with hockey.
Yeah,
but
could be. I think they're going to end up picking Edmonton as one of the hubs. I don't know anything. Right. But I just think Edmonton's going to be one of them. And I will tell you this, that they've got about, again, very good source on the inside.
Yep.
They got about 20 different, what ifs. I mean, they all do.
Right.
Again, not trying to break news, but just sharing what I know about it. And I was told that about a week ago that, there's about 20 different contingency plans, which is going to be the case for not just sports, but for companies.
Yeah.
That are, trying to get people back in the buildings that they worked in. I mean, so many people are still working from home.
Yeah.
I've been home longer, Luke, than I've ever been as a play-by-play guy. And that includes, I'm going back to when I worked for Comcast, when I left local news, when I left Lansing in 2004.
Yep.
I mean, that was one of the reasons why I went down to Florida.
Yeah.
I was home for literally 3 months, drove down there. I needed to get out of my house.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest.
Yep.
And I had a few friends on social media, oh, you escaped, and I'm like, no, I said, I needed to look at something different, man.
Yeah.
And, like I said at the top of the show and in our pod here, I was smart. I didn't do anything stupid. Been smart here. And, I just think as a country, we just got to keep trying to do things, as best as we can, whatever that is and whoever it is. We just have to continue to try to be as smart as we can, man, and think of other people. Think of other folks. There's been a lot of debate about mask, not wearing a mask.
Yep.
I've went back and forth. I won't lie. But since I've come back from Florida, after a couple of days of being back, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to continue to wear it.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear it when I go into public spaces that are occupied by a lot of people, grocery stores. Today I was at a doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
You got to wear the thing in there the whole day or the whole time you're in there. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I don't want to get it. And you just mentioned about asymptomatic. I haven't had any signs of it.
Yeah.
I would hate to give it to somebody.
Right.
So that's just me thinking of, the rest of the human race, I guess, for lack of better words.
Right. And the whole point, for those that don't really understand the point of the mask, the whole point of it is to not only protect yourself, but protect everyone around you.
Absolutely.
It's public safety, public health. It's not just for your own good.
Right.
So for anyone that's, I guess I'm mostly speaking to the guys on this one, but anyone that's trying to be a tough guy and walking around with no mask and thinking you're hot shit, my bad on that one, but just getting that out there because it does bother me a little bit. Walking in anywhere without a mask and doing it, thinking you're, you look cool or you're a tough guy, I'm not gonna get it. You have it, you're gonna spread it to anybody else. Right. So, that's where I want people to kind of think about it a little bit more. Right. Don't just jump in and say I'm not gonna do it or I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And no one, for me, I don't wear a surgical mask. I have, something else that I wear that is more comfortable for me.
Yeah. Right.
And it does the exact same thing as a surgical mask would.
Yeah. I got two of them.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can get a surgical mask, plenty of people are making stuff on, Facebook Marketplace. I'm pretty sure the cleaners up here is making them.
Yeah, they are. I spent a lot of money in that place, by the way. Over the years.
But, I mean, there's so many if you don't want a plasticky kind of uncomfortable surgical mask, there's tons of other options.
Yeah.
But don't be a tough guy. And think about the healthcare workers.
Right.
They have to wear this stuff all day. For 12 hours, as long as they're in there.
Yeah, you're right.
And then they gotta get out and do the regular stuff. They still gotta wear it.
Right.
So think about them and think about the sacrifices they're making.
Right.
They don't want to hear you complaining about it if you're just if you got a normal, job or you're staying at home or whatever.
Well,
because wearing it for an hour, 30 minutes, it's really not that big of a deal as compared to 12 hours straight. So
I had a dental appointment on Monday. I had a crown put in, so I got shot up with 3 needles and my tooth ground down. I got a new crown on there, but nevertheless, I mean, the people in there were great. They were like, hey, you can take it off, do this, do that. And I've been willing and able every time that I've had to go in there. I had a couple dental appointments, during this whole thing, and I've been fine 100% with it.
Yeah.
And, place I was at this morning, there were some people complaining about it, but you're going to get that. And, but I'm just trying to do my best as an American to, do what's right and protect everybody and just march on, man, and just keep taking this thing a day at a time. And, I will say this too. A lot of my friends have texted me or called me or asked me, and we've been talking like, what's going on with your governor? And I went back and forth on it. I'm not going to lie. 6 weeks in, I was like, all right, this is enough. But then you keep seeing things happening and people getting it, and other states getting worse. And, this morning I see a story that 18 states have had, spikes in the cases. Our state, Michigan, the great state of Michigan, it'll always be the great state of Michigan, no matter how long I live here. We're right there with New York in terms of cases and deaths and that. So, because a lot of people question, what's your governor doing? Why are they clamping you down and this and that? And, I'm like, hey, she's looking out. And this morning I listened to a little bit on it in my truck, going to the doctor, and it was good to hear. It's good to see people out here in Michigan, doing things. You can just tell by the amount of traffic on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, before it was like driving on a Sunday night when I used to work in Lansing, driving home. There's nobody on the road, man.
Right. Yeah.
And they're coming home late from a game, getting picked up at the airport or whatever, and coming home late. There's no traffic. So it's good. We need that as a society. And, people have been home a long time, but we know why we're doing it. And, I just hope, like you said, man, we can find something to, Fauci and the boys and men and women in there can come up with something to protect us all. I'm sure they will.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to talk real quick, probably the last, thing I want to talk about.
How long have we been talking?
Probably, I don't know.
An hour
or so.
Wow.
Yeah, something like that.
He's carrying it again.
So, I think the last thing that I want to touch on, sports-wise, soccer.
All right.
La Liga came back last week in Spain.
Okay.
Serie A in Italy has come back. So Messi and Ronaldo are back on TV again.
Your boy, Messi, that is.
Bundesliga has been going for a month straight now.
Yeah, I've seen some of their games.
If anyone wants an example of how to do this the right way,
watch them.
Well, yeah, for the other leagues like
Yes.
the NBA, the MLB, possibly the NFL, I don't really think many guys are that vocal about it as of right now because it's still kind of far away. But
Not comparatively to the NBA's, I mean, close.
Right.
I haven't heard anybody really, be vocal about it like the NBA guys have.
So if you need an example of leagues that are doing a great job, and I don't think the Bundesliga has had a single positive case, and they've been playing for a month.
That's good.
They're not.
And they had it bad over there, man.
Yeah.
Italy and Spain and.
Yeah, I mean, Germany was they didn't. I don't really think they had a huge issue with it, so it wasn't too bad for them restarting.
But I'm saying those players.
Italy, obviously, Italy
they have
was
players
bad.
in those countries, though, right?
Yeah, I don't know if they would own places in Germany.
Yeah, right.
To live, because they probably would have said just stay here, don't go home.
Right.
I do believe Cristiano Ronaldo went to a private island for about 3 or 4 weeks there before they restarted.
Perfect quarantine.
He's got the kind of money for that, obviously.
Yeah.
So
I didn't go to a private island in Florida.
Yeah.
I did go to an island, but it wasn't private.
Right. But, so again, Spain had it bad. Italy had it really bad.
Italy had it really bad when it started.
And again, like I said, Bundesliga hasn't had a single positive test. I haven't heard anything from La Liga or from Serie A as of this point as for positive players or anything like that.
All right.
I saw Messi when I think their first game back was against Leganes. They blew him out. I think it was 4-0. But, Messi was getting full on tackled because that's the only way you can really stop the guy.
He's a machine.
If guys are playing like that, they're obviously not worried. So, obviously it's not a legal play, but,
right.
If you're putting your hands on someone like that, those guys aren't really that worried about it because they're just playing.
Right.
They know what it is and they're doing the right things and quarantining still. And, for any of these other leagues that are restarting and trying to figure out ways, all 3 of those leagues and the other leagues around the world, besides the MLS right now, are great examples of what are the right things to do. So, but that's about all I got really, I think, for today. So,
well, I just want to, I'm wondering, so do we do another show here in a couple days or something? Cause I'd really like to do something for like some kind of Father's Day theme.
Yeah.
Maybe we do that, let's say Wednesday.
Yep.
Maybe we do that tomorrow or Friday and do something like that. But, for me as a father, man, watching this kid play sports has been one of the greatest thrills of my life. I still want to call one of his games.
Yeah.
So Ty, if you're watching, sign me up. Pro bono, man. I'll come out and call the games for the cards, and we'll do. I'm sure you got some people that can come up and run the cameras, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Some folks, some men and women in the communications department.
Definitely.
That's something that's still on my that's still on my wish list, man. My bucket list. Call you playing a college game, and so I don't know. Maybe we'll do that in the next couple of days. Maybe do a little Father's Day theme to one of these shows. So,
yeah, for sure.
No, it's been great, man. We've been going here for an hour, kid.
Yeah. Yep.
Way to carry it, dude. Way to carry it, man.
Yeah. So I think that's about it for us. If you're not doing anything tonight, tune in to NBC Sports Network for some Supercross, and hopefully watch Eli Tomac win his first title tonight.
All right.
He has to win. That's the only way he clinches it tonight.
Gotta get first.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure some of our other listeners are probably looking forward to it as well.
I'm gonna watch some of it.
But yeah, thanks for tuning in. We're happy to be back.
Thanks.
Looking forward to getting more rolling out to everybody here pretty soon. And once again, this has been the No Holden Back Podcast. My name is Luke Holden from Ben Holden. Thank you for listening, watching, and have a good one. Stay safe.